to the beginning, and I want to touch on the running a little bit more later too, because I find that very interesting.
You're an
I'm
excellent
a runner,
runner.
yeah, and I haven't been running for about the last year and a half or two, though.
Yeah, I had to quit a couple years ago.
Yeah, the knees, everything goes, doesn't it?
I got heel, knees, hips, the whole thing.
It all goes.
Yeah.
All right, tell us about when Brett was diagnosed and his development as a young child. How did that diagnosis happen, and what led to that?
Well, he was diagnosed at 2 years and 10 months.
Okay.
But at an early age, he was happy. He wasn't afraid of contact or anything like that. He was a happy baby, but he wasn't doing things. He wasn't progressing. He wasn't pointing. He wasn't doing all the milestones, even though he was happy. We thought he might be deaf because he wasn't answering to his name. So there was all these signs. So I kept pushing the pediatrician to, said, what's wrong? I knew there was something wrong, but I didn't even know what autism was back then.
Right. What year was this about?
93.
Okay.
Yeah, he was born in 91.
Very little known by pediatricians.
Right.
So you kept pushing the pediatrician, and did you meet with resistance?
Well, yes, because they said, oh, he's just a boy or whatever. But one time in the pediatrician's office, he had a really bad fit, which the doctor hadn't seen before, and something happened with him. He says, let's get his hearing tested. So we put him under chloral hydrate 3 times to try to get him to go under so that they could do the hearing conduction test.
Right.
And it didn't work. A lot of drugs on him, as well as other autistic kids, they have the different effect.
Yes.
I know that's true for a lot of them. It's definitely true for Brett. A lot of the stuff you'd give him, it would do the opposite.
Right.
So that didn't work. So we had to take him to UCLA and have him put under general to do the hearing test. And probably going to cry.
It's okay. It's okay to cry.
We have tissues.
And
We cry every day.
Those memories are very tough.
I know. At this point, we had already been referred because of the issues to the Child Development Center in Simi Valley. It wasn't regional center, but it's kind of like that.
Right.
So we had already been referred there, and we were seeing an occupational therapist, and we were in the children's group twice a week, where they try to get them to play and all that. And she gave me a book, and she said, you should look at this because I think he's autistic. And I didn't know what it was.
Wow.
I didn't know what it was at all.
Yeah.
So I read the book, and I fell down on the floor, and I thought it was,
it described your son.
It described him. And in that book, at that time, it said, it's completely, totally disabling, uncurable, and only 20% of them will even be able to talk, and none of them will be able to live on their own ever.
Right.
You know.
So you thought the most dire prognosis, and so from there, that was when he was 2 years and 10 months.
Mm-hmm.
And once you actually got the diagnosis from this center.
We got it from UCLA.
Okay, from UCLA.
We got it from UCLA. They were suspecting, developmental delays.
Right.
That's how we got into the program. And then they gave me the book, and then we decided we would go do the test at UCLA. And we're, me and my husband were sitting there, and he understood kind of what was going on, but I had been reading the books. So the doctor came out and he said his hearing is perfect, and I just lost it because I knew.
Right.
I knew.
And where did you go from there after picking yourself up off the floor?
Yeah, we went to UCLA, and we saw at that time, the preeminent diagnostician in the world, B.J. Freeman. And B.J. Freeman, and I don't know why we did this, but my husband and I were sitting there, and she said, we came for an appointment. It was her and one of her colleagues. She comes in, and she watches Brett walk back and forth, and it was about a minute and a half. She said, well, he's definitely autistic. I can tell you right now. And we're like, wow, how does she know that without, we were like impressed by her. It was really strange.
Yeah.
Right. We were impressed, and like, why was I impressed? It was a terrible thing. I suspected it, but she said, and so about 3 hours later, and one of the things she said was, he's probably never going to be able to talk. You're probably going to want to, or need to, put him in a home by the time he's 10 because he's going to be big. She already could tell that he was a big kid. He's going to be big, and you won't be able to control him. So, just be prepared for that. And all you need to do is just keep yourselves together because there's nothing you can do. And so we walked out of there about 3 hours later. I went, oh my God, this is,
Right.
this is ridiculous. And then, then it was devastating, of course. And then a month later, we go to a parents group meeting where Dr. Grant Pichet is speaking.
There you go.
About ABA therapy, which I really didn't know anything about. To back up, I was in a child psychology class at Northridge within the year before, and they had shown the Lobos film.
Okay.
They showed it, and
Dr. Ivar Lovas,
Mm-hmm.
who Doreen studied under,
Right.
for those of you that don't know, who was really in the forefront of using ABA for children with autism.
Yeah.
So
They showed the three adults playing pool, and you can't tell which one.
Love that film.
I know which one is autistic. So, I brought that up to BJ Freeman. I said, when she said, there's nothing you can do, I said, well, what about that? I saw this film, where they're doing this kind of therapy. She said, oh, no. It's dog training. It's violent. It's aversive. You can't do it. Nobody's doing it. I'm like, okay. So, then a month later, we get involved with the parents groups, which everybody should do.
Yes.
That was one of the best things I ever did.
Yeah.
okay.
Because the parents really have a good insight on what is working, what kinds of therapies are really working.
They've lived it.
They've lived
And
it,
they've
yes.
also lived the successes with their own kids, and it's so
Right.
important. I agree with you. So you went to the parent group. You heard it. Doreen came to speak.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get Brett into an ABA program at CARD then? When did that start? How old was he? And tell us what that was like.
Within the next month, we had regional center funding it at 1st. We were able to get regional center to fund it, and they funded us with her. And we talk about it all the time, but as she was leaving the parents group meeting, I stood there, and there was a bunch of supporters and people that didn't know anything. So I stood there and I kind of argued with her, and I said, "BJ Freeman says this is not good.
Right.
It's not going to work." And she says, she said, "Bryce, I guarantee that I will get him to be able to talk, and you will, he'll be talking so much that you'll want him to
Stop.
be quiet."
To be quiet.
And I stood there and I argued with her, and she
Yeah.
was very respectful because
She knew
that's
what you were going
Doreen.
through.
Right?
And she said, "Well, I really do think I know that we can help him, and we've helped so many others." And I
Yeah.
said, "Okay, I'll go with you."